Namaskar, hello and welcome to this very special commemoration of the Global Tourism Resilience Day. This is quite a very latest global commemoration, as we can see on the screens, that the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted the resolution for a Global Tourism Resilience Day as early as 6th of February 2023. And perhaps we would be technically commemorating the second Global Tourism Resilience Day today. And as in the common parlance, we know the term of resilience, which has taken precedence over sustainability. It is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. In general terms, it is the toughness of a ecosystem, perhaps. And tourism, which remains a cross-cutting industry, it witnessed a phenomenal shock. And it was very recently that the COVID-19 shocks, where the global tourism industry was pegged at $3.5 trillion, and it recovered, but it has reached only up to around $1.9 trillion. That is the kind of monetary value which we can put forth. So, as tourism is also considered to be an industry which fosters, which 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 uh, which helps not just in economic development per se. It is a kind of an industry which alleviates poverty, and obviously in today's era of VUCA, it creates full and productive employment and decent work for all. So these are the three. Uh, 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 these are considered to be the three dimensions, as UN, this resolution has put it very specifically. It's a cross-cutting industry that contributes to the three dimensions of sustainable development and the achievement of the sustainable development goals, which includes the fostering of economic growth, alleviating poverty, creating full and productive employment and decent work for all, accelerating the change to more sustainable consumption and productive patterns, and promoting the sustainable use of our natural resources, ocean, seas, marine resources, promoting local culture, improving the quality of life and the economic empowerment of the weaker sections, especially women, young people, indigenous peoples, and promoting rural development and better living conditions for rural populations and local communities. And so, this is the backdrop in which the Global Tourism Resilience Day has been declared by the United Nations. And I would like to bring in Dr. Surbhi, the president at Rethink India Institute, about her personal experiences, because tourism is fraught with risks owing to emergencies. And in our own personal experiences, we have witnessed that how we went to a tourist destination and we got stranded all at once because of a natural calamity, because of something or the other. So that is one part of the story. The other is some some calamity comes in one part of locality, but it affects the morale and I would say the whole gusto of the tourists to visit out there. So some case studies I would like to bring in, Dr. Surbi, and we have been joined in by Madam Preeti Mishra as well from Bennett Coleman. We would also like to bring her and our other panelists are on the way. So, Dr. Surbi, what has been your, because you have been a tourism freak yourself and you're promoting tourism experiences across Himalayas per se. So, what is your take uh, about these shocks and why resilience is so very important to be factored into a tourism ecosystem?
So, namaskar and welcome on this Resilient Tourism Conclave 2024. And very rightly, as pointed out, that resilient tourism, when we talk about tourism as a sector in totality, something about it points towards pride in the locale. That is the first parameter I feel is very much important for tourism to get bolstered, and understanding the locale, and then the challenges which come, once the tourist comes to the destination. Of course they can be temporal, as in if there is a calamity, or if there is some unprecedented say for example we are having some local upheaval or some crisis in the socio-political situation, or something which goes haywire. So, I mean, how equipped are we to face these challenges and deliver customer delight or client delight? We talk about in hospitals and healthcare, meditourism being an important aspect of tourism dimensions. We talk about client delight, not just satisfaction, not just patient satisfaction, but delight. Where you exceed the expectations of your client, of your customer. So how do we achieve that level of excellence? So of course that takes into account a lot of unprecedented parameters, what challenges may come in your way. And tourism has a lot to offer. I think the some states of our country are definitely very well equipped in terms of their local fauna and flora, the ecosystem, the various heritage sites and all, which can be bolstered and presented. So I think a lot depends upon our attitude. How we are approaching the tourism sector from. It's not just something to not just the outer spirit or face of things, but it's a major source of employment, economic growth, alleviating poverty, and giving opportunities for cultural exhortations. So much to offer, this sector has. So I think we need to delve deep into this, and this topic, especially resilient tourism, how to bolster resilient tourism. Several challenges which our hoteliers, restaurateurs, and resort managers face sometimes is, that some kind of a negative marketing due to some, so let's say, for example, we had the Kedarnath tragedy in Uttarakhand. And it took time for the tourism or the pilgrimage tourism to get bolstered once it had it. Definitely, this is human behavior, but expected. And similarly, like we have these floods and some kind of a climatic condition, that is one part of it. But then resilient tourism calls for all round year efforts, and this has to be well planned and accounted for. I think that is it needs a strategy in place completely, bringing together all stakeholders of the ecosystem together on one platform, and then working on what are the predictable factors, unpredictable factors, and how are we going to approach it in a
So the baseline of it all, Dr. Surbi, what it boils down is like the moment you venture out from the comfort of your regular hustle and bustle, tourism is a risky proposition. Wherever you go, there might be a natural calamity, there might be a law and order situation which erupts all of a sudden, like we just saw on the foothills of Kumaon Hills, the outburst at Haldwani. So something or the other can happen. There might be fog which might come across. You might have gone to a place, but returning becomes so difficult. So somewhere at the core of resilience tourism is a resilient tourist. And the very purpose of venturing out is that people want to feel the adventure of things. So people go for adventure tourism, people travel. So it is not as comfortable or as a routine per se. So the first and the foremost, so whatever the ecosystem is providing, the hoteliers, the transport, the government authorities, they try to do as much as possible. So that is one part of the story. But as a tourist per se, as someone who want to experience the various geocultural locales, resilience has to come in the persona perhaps, and that is where this learning of the resilient learning, which is quite in vogue, and tourism is considered to be that school of learning. It's a lifelong school whereby I would say the witness, the person has to experience that. And giving our own very personal example, we went to the Manali Nagar belt over there, and we were on the return, and all of a sudden the banks of River Vyas broke down. All the bridges they just came down, and there was a quite a mayhem. It was a natural calamity. No one could have predicted, for that matter. But then, Dr. Surbi, in your own words, because you being a medico and you witness those life and death situations, that is where medico training, the commando training comes very well into these. Because tourism is not very hunky dory. It is not always so very pleasant. The I would say the tiredness which we all face after having traveled for 12 hours over a stretch. But when you witness the majestic, mighty mountains, I think that's where the experience for which we all climb up, we track up a hill, we go to the oceans, we try to do it. So in our own context, would you please explain as to how you developed that resilient attitude and loved that part of tourism over there?
So, it's a well said adage that the destination is not the entire goal. The journey is also a part of the experience. So, tourism needs to be planned in such a way that the moment you start from your home to the travel to the various spots at which you stop over, have stop over for food maybe, or for sightseeing, or photography, and each and every point becomes a delight. Every stopover becomes an experience to remember, to cherish. So certainly, in some way or the other, we need to, plan this tourism experience, part of it. And then also, when you talk of a resilient attitude, somewhere it goes that okay, the adventurous spirit has to come in, wherein you say that if you're going for a witness snowfall, so of course there are certain risks which go around with it. You take your precautions, you arm yourself with backup plans and strategies and backup whatever gear you may carry, or if something like this, if I'm stranded here, I'll stay here. So of course that is a part of the training. and of the entire experience. And also that, the ruggedness comes from the, as you very rightly said, that when you see the Himalayas, when you see the mountains approaching, when you're driving through Kaladungi, the moment the first sight of the mountains appears, lo and behold, the ecstasy creates in your mind, the feeling it reverberates in your nerves, is something worth the drive, worth the entire journey. So these things, need to be the experience, the end result needs to be definitely accentuated and well appreciated and understood. Also, as I said, that every point in itself should be the result, not just the end point. So, for example, if we cultivate the interest in birds, ornithology, so that you are seeing some woodpeckers or some unique species of birds or unique species of plants or trees on the way. So this needs to be garnered. This kind of an approach or attitude needs to be developed, and the tourism sector per se needs to focus on these aspects as well. So I think
So I think one of the core points what you mentioned about it's a philosophical acceptance that there would be volatility, there would be uncertainty, there would be complexity, and there would be ambiguity. I think acceptance breeds resilience in the first place, and that is where resilient management is all about. First of all, we have to be cognizant that okay, in a complex world, in a volatile world, all these things can happen. So the moment we accept the situations as they are, this is the first step for a resilient tourism. Yes, tourism is not just about the tourism provider per se, because it is the tourist who experiences the entire. I would say the entire motley mix of experiences, whether they are good, bad, those are value judgments. But then this philosophical mindset, then it invokes a lot of innovativeness. For example, when we got stranded at Nagar, which is very close to Manali, when the Vyas banks broke all of a sudden, we had plans back home in Delhi. Then we were stranded and we remained stranded for a whole week. There were no roads to come through. So, obviously, the first challenge which comes through is the financial one. Yes, you had planned for an X amount of I would say money. But then when you had ventured out, you had to be prepared for a kind of emergency fund, because you were well in your situation, but then you were well into your hotel. We went back. The hotels also supported for that matter. Oh, this is a natural calamity which just doesn't happen every now and then. So a mutual support ecosystem started happening. Nobody panicked. We withstood it collectively. I think that is what a medical attitude is all about when a patient comes into an emergency. It's a kind of the emergency room, I think, is one of the most resilient
absolutely.
ecosystems per se. And Dr. Surbi, tell us more about that attitude of the emergency medicos who really take on. It's a battle between life and death. Any decision you take here and there, it just translates over there.
So, an important tenet of handling emergencies we face is, that get your first, priorities in place, So for example, if there is some emergency or some disaster situation, safety security comes first, or, health comes first. And even if you have to compromise on the kind of room you are staying in, or maybe you need to check in for more days, so you have to be prepared for all kinds of possibilities, so some things which cannot be compromised need to be kept at the forefront. That is one. Second is, of course, that when you are taking charge of an emergency or a disaster like situation, we say that be prepared for the worst. You're doing your best, but then you have to be prepared. If this does not work, then plan A, plan B, plan C. So, and then never say quits. Never say quits. That is the attitude. You have to fight it. And the ultimate goal is to bring the patient out or the client out of the disaster and give him a experience that, okay, that we did it, that kind of a thing. And then teamwork is very important, because any the wars or battles or any kind of disaster situation or emergencies are won by teamwork. You might be having informants somewhere, somebody to assist in the mechanical or the scientific part of it, or all kind of roles are there for everyone. So that needs to be valued as well equally.
Mhm. That's truly lovely. And apart from, like, okay, you are caught up into a situation, you handle it one way or the other, like COVID pandemic, people had not thought about it, that all of a sudden such kind of lockdowns would have come through, and wherever people were, they had to be ballooned over there, they had to stay over there. So with a positive attitude, you have to find out ways and means as to how to make the best of that time frame. Now, that is once you are caught up into a crisis situation or a calamitous situation. But how to project it further? Today is an era where the advent of AI, there is a talk of deep fakes in the making. A lot of news items, even the mainstream news channels, they try to give very sensational news headings. Just last monsoon, the entire Himachal got into a deluge. But then it had a tremendous impact on the tourism inflows in the state of Uttarakhand, which was still very much protected. With a lot of climate predictions well in place, but the overall scenario, for example, the Delhi fog situation on the Delhi airport was for a couple of days, but then overall sentiment which happened all across was that Delhi is all foggy, let's not go over there. So perhaps that's where we have to double click and get the information truly triangulated from multiple sources, getting the authentic sources in play rather than falling prey to fake news or ultra sensational news. People try to, like in the stock market, whether it's a bull run or a bear run. So the sensationalism which is out there, there is a need to moderate the sensationalism. And tourism per se is for tough people. Otherwise, we are all out there in the comforts of our homes and offices and moving from here and there. But if you are really venturing out for tourism, having that touristic attitude, that toughness, that resilience beneath is something which makes us go. Yes, on the part of the government, on the part of the tourism industry, advanced predictions have to be out there. There are a lot of all kind of forecasts which are over there. The tourism industry has to also factor into the losses which the stranded tourists are making it. They have to make collective invitations out there. I would say also the negative positioning which goes on. In 2013, the deluge of Kedarnath hit, but for almost 4 to 5 years, even long after, there was a lot of fear amidst the pilgrims out there to come to the deep Himalayas. So somewhere or the other, the collective messaging, and thanks to the a modern day technology where everyone can become a journalist, anyone can beam the real life images from wherever you are, and we can really bolster that confidence in the incoming guest. No, it is all safe. And yes, and also what's most important, Dr. Surbi, is like, as you have witnessed yourself, that very resilient tourism ecosystem, they give you the finite risk out there. For example, we just visited ITC Welcome Heritage near Ramnagar, and we said, oh, we want to host something in the month of monsoons because you are located in such a nice, pristine locale. And once the first rains drop in, your entire environs will get very greenish. So the manager over there, he was not out at once. He went out. He said, it's just fine. Yes, there might be some landslide here and there, but we will just get it removed. So yes, there are challenges. So accepting the challenges, accepting the potential crisis, but also telling that we do have the wherewithal to remove it all across. So for example, you go to a locale which snows. So yes, we have the gear to remove the snow, and within this time frame, 12 to 24 hours, we'll get the way cleared and you can go back home. So that is the whole spirit, whether be it a pandemic, be it a natural disaster, or be it a law and order situation. These are some of the core challenges which affect tourism in a big way. But then, as we said, that tourism is for tough people and resilience. And one is that tourism ecosystem has to get resilient, but then More important is the tourist per se. They have to get resilient, and that is the core purpose of it all. Dr. Surbi.
So yes, say for example, Corbett jungle safaris. You are in a jeep. You're riding 5, 6 people in adventure for the search of tigers, and lo and behold, the tiger appears in front of you. So now there's an adventure, there's a thrill, there is a risk aspect, there's everything to it. There are you riding on elephants, and the tiger is just approaching from the back, and lo, he growls. The safari attendant or the in charge who's taking you around is well prepared for all these exigencies, for all these for all these situations, and how he guides you, observe the precautions, listen to him. So tourism, of course, has an element of adventure and a bit of course, a sporty spirit and a caution is always there, inherent in the moment you step out of the house. And say, for example, the Silkyara Tunnel, this what happened on the Chardham route, and how there were landslides, those people who were working on the tunnels. So that portion of the roads, and of course, it created a lot of buzz in the media, and how that they were rescued. And it essentially means that not always 100% everything will go right. If you're going to Nainital or Oli for to witness snowfall, you might get somewhere stranded due to excessive snowfall. Travel is risky, so you have to take into these factors always. But then that should not dishearten or disappoint us from having the tourism in the very first place. But then you have to be armed with your gear, with your strategy, with your precaution. And I'll just also take this point of pilgrimage tourism, जिसे तीर्थाटन कहते हैं, कि जब चार धाम की यात्रा पर निकलते थे तो ये सोचते थे कि लाइफ में एक बार ये यात्रा होती है. So I mean, there is so much to it. Tourism is so much to offer. So when we talk of resilient, being bolstering the resilient tourism, we have to say when a child is delivered, the mother takes the labor pain. So much of pain and struggle she goes through for so many hours, and then finally when the child is in her arms, she's so thrilled, she's so exhilarated. So it's like this, you're traveling, hot and sweaty.
So the butterflies would always be there, the
Always be
fear,
there.
the terror,
Yeah.
it would always be there. Dukh and Sukh, it would not always be delight. There would be a lot of dilapidated experiences as well. But then that is the whole mix for which tourism is made at. And one more point which we wish to discuss on this conclave is that tourism has somewhere being projected as a kind of a very well manicured experience, very well controlled and calculated one. Perhaps it is not. It is quite a random spree. You go from one place, and in the traditional concept, it was all a meandering, like the free flowing of the river. If you just walk through from a glacier to the mouth of any river, if you just witness the journey of a river, the natural flow, we say it's a geometrical flow or it's a natural flow. I think that is that carefree spirit of the human soul, which needs to be kindled as a part of tourism. And these challenges, what all we have, yes, the authorities will be doing their level best. The industry would be trying hard to secure and give you the best comforts. But then at the core of it all, it's a resilient soul. It is the resilient spirit which want to taste the cosmic reverberation, want to be in sync with that, and that's where that is the core crux of tourism per se. So with this, we conclude the short resilient tourism conclave, and the idea behind is that the core responsibility, the core onus of resilience, and lies with the resilient tourism. The facilities might be of various grades, various strata, but then a hard tourist, like people go out at the high altitude, they go to the seas, they go to the desert, and the various categories of adventures from their routine lives. And that is what tourism all about. Dr. Surbi, any closing words? Yeah.
So I think tourism is also, a source of jnana, a source of, as you said very rightly, the soul, is reveled in all its way and spirits. And I think on this conclave, this is an humble effort and yet another stone towards that journey to make it the complete, fulfilling experience. Every tourism adventure teaches us something, about life, about philosophy as well, about how to face situations, how to be a better human being, more equipped, more armed. So thank you once more from all of us at Rethink India for joining us on this Bolstering Resilient Tourism Conclave 2024. And it's a great experience and endeavor to witness you all watching us.